The first Blight, Dragon Age. Imagine fighting a war against sentient disease. Now make that disease 10 feet tall, armored, and singing Gregorian death metal in a sewer. Welcome to the first Blight. This war kicked off when one of the old gods, the dragon-shaped deity Dumat, got a little too cozy with some mages playing house in the Fade. These mages were part of the Tevinter Imperium, an empire that looked at the concept of forbidden magic and said, bet. They tried to physically enter the afterlife to grab more power. Instead, they corrupted an old god and accidentally invented the Dark Spawn, plague-carrying, flesh-rotting murder gremlins. Darkspawn don't just kill, they taint everything. Food, water, air, your dreams. They swarmed the deep roads, infected dwarven cities, then burst onto the surface like a zombie apocalypse with swords. But the real horror? Every Darkspawn is drawn to the old god like iron to a magnet. When they find one, it becomes an archdemon, a flying, nuclear-powered demon dragon with a kill streak. The first Blight lasted over a century. Kingdoms fell, civilizations crumbled, the skies blackened. This wasn't a war of battles, it was a war of attrition, death by inches, rot by miles. Enter the Grey Wardens, an order of warriors who figured out that if you inject just enough Darkspawn goo into yourself, you can hear their hive mind and kill their boss. It's horrifying, noble, and incredibly metal. And the worst part? There are 4 more Blights after this one. Good luck. The War of Wrath, Tolkien. Before Sauron, before rings, before Gollum whispered sweet nothings to jewelry, there was Morgoth, the first Dark Lord, the guy who taught evil how to do evil. And the War of Wrath? That was the moment the entire cosmos decided they'd had enough of his melodramatic apocalypse energy. Morgoth wasn't just some big bad with a sword. He was a god-tier being who broke the world for fun. He bred orcs, dragons, and balrogs like they were collectible toys. For centuries, elves and men fought losing battles against him. Entire kingdoms were erased. Mountains were moved. Oceans appeared where cities used to be. But after Morgoth stole the Silmarils, basically divine gemstones full of cosmic light, the Valar finally had enough. They sent an army of literal angels to Middle-earth, led by Yunwei, the herald of the god of creation. Morgoth responded by throwing everything he had, dragons with names, balrogs with trauma, and an army of nightmares. The result? The continent of Beleriand was reduced to underwater rubble. It wasn't just a war, it was a celestial stress tantrum. In the end, Morgoth was captured, chained, and yeeted into the void outside reality. Victory came at the cost of an entire continent, but hey, at least they got a sequel. The Necromorph Outbreak, Dead Space. If zombies, body horror, and religious cults had a baby in zero gravity, it would be a necromorph. And Dead Space? It's not just a survival horror game, it's a full-blown war against the dead, where the enemy isn't trying to win, it's trying to convert. The Outbreak starts with the discovery of the Marker, a mysterious alien artifact that emits signals capable of driving humans insane and reanimating corpses. The Church of Unitology worships it, corporations exploit it, and governments try to bury it. All of them fail. Hard. Necromorphs aren't shambling undead. They're biomechanical nightmares. Twisted flesh constructs with bone blade limbs and kill instincts hard-coded. One body becomes 10. A morgue becomes an army. They're fast, smart in packs, and adapt to conventional weapons. Oh, and headshots don't work. You have to dismember them limb by screaming limb. The outbreak on the USG Ishimura, a planet-cracking ship turned space crypt, spreads like wildfire. Containment protocols fail instantly. Civilians, marines, scientists, no one is spared. Even the rescue missions end in blood. And then there's the twist. The Marker is self-replicating. The whole outbreak was engineered. Humanity didn't just stumble into this war, they built it, packaged it, and dropped it into space like a cursed USB drive. Dead Space turns a single outbreak into a species-level threat. By the time you realize what's happening, the line between enemy, infected, and complicit is already gone. The real horror? This war never needed an army, just one body. The Celestial War. Darksiders. This one starts with the end of the world, literally. The Celestial War is the fallout from a cosmic turf battle between heaven and hell, with Earth stuck in the blast radius. And the worst part? It wasn't even supposed to happen yet. In the Darksiders universe, a balance is enforced between the realms by a shadowy group called the Charred Council. They're enforcers? The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Sounds metal until one of them, named War, gets tricked into showing up for the end times way too early. Cue global extinction. Heaven deploys armored angels with glowing swords and divine artillery. Hell unleashes legions of demons, everything from flame beasts to teleporting murder tanks. Earth's military doesn't last 24 hours, cities are cratered, civilization collapses, and humanity goes extinct in a week. And War? He's blamed for breaking the seal that starts it all. The council chains him up, then sends him back to Earth to prove his innocence. What he finds is a scorched battlefield ruled by monsters, angels, and demons still locked in an eternal killfest, and a few remaining humans surviving like rats in the ruins. As the war drags on, the true enemy is revealed, the Destroyer, a rogue demon manipulating both sides to claim ultimate power. Meanwhile, War uncovers that the seals were broken intentionally. It was all part of a conspiracy to hijack the apocalypse and rewrite the cosmic order. The Celestial War isn't just heaven versus hell, it's free will versus fate, and the apocalypse is corporate sabotage. Fourth Shinobi War, Naruto. Ninja wars usually mean silent kills and shadow tactics. This one had meteor drops, zombie armies, and the literal gods punching time itself. Welcome to the fourth great ninja war, where subtlety dies in the first 5 minutes. The war kicks off when the masked man Tobi, claiming to be Madara Uchiha, declares all-out war on the 5 great shinobi nations. His goal, collect all the tailed beasts, unleash a giant tree demon, and put the world into a permanent dream state. You know, for peace. For once, the hidden villages stop fighting each other and form a united army. Over 80,000 ninja. On paper, impressive. In practice, they're facing off against a resurrected army of legendary dead shinobi through a forbidden technique called Edo Tensei. These reanimated warriors can't die, don't feel pain, and include every war criminal, prodigy, and monster from ninja history. Meanwhile, the battlefield's littered with chakra-powered tanks, teleporting swordsmen, and a guy who throws meteors like dodgeballs. The casualties are massive, the betrayals constant, and the final boss fight escalates into dimension-hopping madness featuring Kaguya, a literal moon goddess. And let's not forget Naruto and Sasuke, former rivals turned war MVPs. They're forced to confront fate, friendship, and the philosophical weight of punching someone so hard the war ends. This wasn't just the climax of a ninja story. It was an all-out mythology bomb disguised as a war arc, with the world on the line and the plot going full anime nuclear. The Horus Heresy, Warhammer 40,000. Imagine raising 20 genetically engineered sons to conquer the galaxy for the good of mankind, only for your favorite one to stab you in the chest because he joined a Chaos Godbook club. Welcome to the Horus Heresy, the original galactic civil war of Warhammer 40,000. The Emperor of Mankind, a psychic demigod with a golden throne and 0 social skills, created the Primarchs, superhuman generals meant to lead his armies in uniting humanity across the stars. But chaos intervened. Half the Primarchs got spiritually catfished by dark gods promising freedom, glory, or just some emotional validation. The ringleader? Horus, the most beloved son, who fell so hard he started a galaxy-wide rebellion. What followed was a brutal decade-long civil war, fought across planets, void ships, and timelines. Brother turned on brother. Loyalist space marines clashed with their corrupted counterparts, now sporting demon armor and screaming Latin backwards. The climax was the siege of Terra. Horus's forces invaded Earth itself, and the Emperor faced his son in a final duel aboard the War Master's flagship. He won, but barely, and only after getting mortally wounded. He's been stuck on life support ever since. A psychic corpse god empowering a broken empire. The heresy shattered humanity's golden age, crippled its ruler, and gave birth to 10,000 years of religious fascism, war cults, and eternal bloodshed. It's not just a war, it's the origin myth of the entire Warhammer universe, soaked in betrayal, fire, and really angry armor. The Void War, League of Legends. Most wars start with politics or land grabs. This one starts with the universe tearing open and purple nightmares crawling out. Welcome to the Void War, the cosmic horror subplot that threatens to eat all of Runeterra while everyone's busy throwing magical hands over crown drama. The Void isn't just another faction. It's a dimension of pure nothingness, older than creation itself. Its creatures don't invade to conquer. They consume, mutate, and erase. Cities don't fall in battle. They vanish under a tide of teeth, tendrils, and existential dread. It began subtly. Scholars found strange fossils. Animals started mutating. Then came the first incursions, like Kassadin's village being swallowed, or Malzahar's prophetic breakdown in the desert. But the real warning bell was Cathia, an ancient city that tried to weaponize the void, and instead unleashed it. The city's still there, technically, just under about 40 miles of screaming purple. The champions linked to the Void, Cho'Gath, Vel'Koz, Kha'Zix, and more aren't just monsters. They're scouts, probes. The actual Void entities haven't even arrived yet, and when they do, the laws of reality are optional. Now factions like Demacia, Noxus, and Ionia face a choice. Keep fighting each other, or unite against a hunger that doesn't sleep. Spoiler, they're probably going to keep fighting each other. The Void War isn't over. It hasn't even properly started. But when it does, it won't be a battle for power. It'll be a battle to remember that anything ever existed. The Great Holy War, Berserk. If you think most wars are messy, try one that begins with a mass sacrifice, includes a literal eclipse, and ends with a demon pope in a flying coffin. Welcome to the Great Holy War in Berserk, where the battlefield is less about borders and more about who's left with a soul. It all starts when Griffith, once a beloved war hero, returns from the dead with a new job title Femto, member of the God Hand. He sacrifices his army to ascend to demonhood, and in return gets a front row seat to reshape the world. What follows isn't just a war, it's a religious campaign fueled by fear, miracles, and an army of supernatural horrors. Griffith's new kingdom, Falconia, is painted as humanity's last safe haven. To secure it, his forces wage war across Midland and beyond, cleansing territories in the name of divine order. But the truth is, the apostles in his army aren't knights, they're monsters. Actual ones, and their idea of liberation involves body horror and unholy fire. Meanwhile, Guts, the guy who survived Griffith's betrayal, becomes a one-man war front. Armed with a sword the size of a canoe and more trauma than any human should carry, he fights demons, gods, and fate itself. The Great Holy War isn't about politics, it's about manipulation, prophecy, and sacrifice on a mythic scale. A holy war where the holiest thing is vengeance, and the gods are just better liars than the rest. I'm pretty sure I butchered half those names. Anyways, if your favorite war is missing, drop it in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe, and pray I didn't accidentally summon anything weird.